Alright, welcome back to Do It Myself Garage. Got my fire extinguisher ready. Let's get a bunch of stuff hooked up, and I'm really hoping in this episode, this weekend, that we get this to fire up. Even if we don't get it on the road, I want to at least get it running. Alright, let's find top dead center on the compression stroke on this guy. Right now my valves are open. I've got one open, one shut on number one. I have all of the plugs out right now, and she's still going down. The way my angle is on that one, I can see all the way to the bottom of the cylinder. Not all cars are like that. You can't always see the piston real easily. Alright, that valve's coming back up. Maybe this, I'm going to get lucky and this will be the compression stroke. Maybe I'll get lucky. I only have to go around one time. Yeah, this is it. So, both my valves are closed. And she's almost to the top. So that would have been the compression stroke. And I'm going to line up. Remember, this is a fresh engine. And I had lined up the harmonic balancer, so I'm just going to put that baby at 0. I can see the line over here. Let me bring you over here and show you. Kind of like to paint my lines. I don't know if you can see this or not. Oh yeah. Be able to zoom you in down there. Hold on. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Or as South Mayan likes to say, enhance, enhance. So there we go. There's my, oh, where am I at? Oh, I'm over here. There it is. So there's my line. I always like to paint the line on the harmonic balancer if I can. It's kind of nice. It just stands out. So I just put some paint pen in there down in the slot. So now all I have to do is just bring it up to 0. And 0 is the furthest mark that way. And you're not gonna be able, I'm gonna be getting in your way here, but I'm gonna pull it up to 0 and show you. 0. That's top dead center on the compression stroke. Right there. Now I can drop my distributor in. Well, actually, I'm gonna prime it first, then I'll drop the distributor in and hook up all my spark plug wires. Alright, I've already been priming a little bit here. I've got like a solid 80 psi oil pressure. I'll show you in a second. And I don't know if you can see, but the oil's coming up out of the push rods. Bubbling up. Every single one on the other side, so I just came over here to check this side. Now obviously the lifters won't be all pumped up because of that, because some are compressed more than others. But at least I know got oil running through all the galleries in the whole motor. I'm going to go ahead and show you the pressure I have on the gauge here. And because of Pontiac, I have to spin counterclockwise. I'll try to move the cord out of the way here. And yeah, like almost 80 psi, so we are good. So I've been running that for I ran it for what, a minute and a half, almost 2 minutes. I've got tons of oil puddled up here. I'm going to grab my valve covers and throw them on so I don't make a huge mess firing this up. This is a primer you can use. You can make one of these out of an old distributor, but I bought this one. This is for GM. I'll show you the part number. Oil pump primer, V6 and V8, OEM 27060. Worked really, really well. You can make one out of an old distributor, but if you don't have one, this is a good way to go. All right, let's get this distributor set in there. So the GM style distributors have these little tangs here. Just push them down and turn. Typically you push them down and turn them counterclockwise. Pops them out of there, and once they're out, then this will come off. What I was going to do here is just make sure that my cap or my rotor was pointed where I wanted to. I still got the old rotor in here. I was going to use that just to get it fired up. I don't want to put my new stuff in quite yet. These GM caps, there's a slot here and there's a notch in the cap where that's supposed to go, so you get it in the right spot. So on my motor, I'm going to have the vacuum advance kind of parallel with the firewall, maybe just a little bit forward, and then this pointing toward number 1. So that's kind of about the way I want it right there. Don't forget your gasket on here or you'll have an oil leak. Found my distributor gasket, almost fell behind my toolbox, but I found it, so let's get him on there. Yep. That's one nice thing about old cars is you can get right up in here. So, honestly, now that I'm looking at the vacuum advance, it's got to go more toward the firewall than I thought. Alright, it also has to line up with the oil pump. So that can be an issue also. I'm getting this to line up. The oil pump driver has to line up. Come on. So I might have to take it out and turn that a little bit more. Yep. So that's the problem this round. Wish I could unplug this. The my clip is half broken. I'm really kind of afraid to pull it off of there for it snapping the rest of the way. Alright, let me get my oil pump primer and spin that thing just a little bit more. Okay. Okay. It lines up every half turn. So I turned it about a quarter turn. Hopefully that'll work. It's not going down in there all the way. I got lucky the first time, but then of course it wasn't lined up with number 1 like I wanted. A little bit of trial and error. Got it. Alright, so now I've still got vacuum advance adjustment. I'm pointing in the general direction of number 1. I'm pretty happy with that. Let me put my claw in there. The claw. Alright, so now she can't come out and jump gears on me. Now I can put this guy in here. Sorry for that background noise. I don't know what in the world's going on up there. Neighbor's dragging his garden or what? I don't know. It sounds pretty weird. Where did that little tab go? Oh, it's way over here. There we go. Alright, so now you can lock those little tabs in. And number 1, I have marked over here. That should be pretty close to where we are. I think. I'll check one more time. Make sure I marked the right one. Oh, do I even have that one right? Oh, he's crooked. There you go. There we go. And here's that vacuum line that I left super long to run to my distributor. You kind of want the foot just a little tight so it doesn't just move when you're trying to crank it. There we go. All right, let's get some valve covers on here, some wires on here. Maybe get that vacuum line on there. Those are my permanent / temporary valve covers. They look pretty sharp. Got the Mr. Gasket vent cover on that one. Yeah, that worked out okay. The flange bolts really didn't fit that well, but they look all right for what it is. All right, let's get the wires on here. Got the shifter roughly in, hooked up, neutral safety switch hooked up. I'm going to have the car jacked up when I start it up anyway. I'm actually going to, right now it's jacked up on the frame, I'm actually going to move those over to jack up on the axle so that my dry shaft is in a little bit more natural position. So let's get that done real quick. Alright, so I forgot, since I put that new torsion bar in the rear, you cannot get a jack stand under the rear axle. You can get it under the pumpkin, but I'm not going to have the entire car, the rear of the car sitting on the pumpkin while I'm doing testing. So I guess she's on the ground. I've got it in park. As long as I did my transmission stuff right when I rebuilt it, we should be fine. So I laid out my plug wires. As you can see, I've got 2 that are really long, 4 that are medium, and 2 that are short. So obviously you space them out depending on how they work coming off of the cap. Well, I should have known better. These are the wrong style ends. So if I can remember where to return them to, I will. Ran up to AutoZone. Not a sponsor. Got some cables for like an 82K10 something, I don't know. Had a 400 in it, so should have wires long enough, and it does have the correct ends. I brought my new cap up there to make sure that they fit on there. So now we've got wires. Let's put these on instead. New wires are on. It's not the prettiest, but they're on. Grab a little gas to put in here. Well, got the cap kind of in place. Let's see what happens. Alright, pretty obvious the timing is off. I use mixed gas, so if you've seen a lot of smoke, that's what that's from. Wanted to give her a little extra oil in the cylinders on the first start. Okay, let's turn this distributor a little bit. She's not going to want to stay in place. These wires are not, I don't like these wires. This one to number 1 is way short, but it'll work. Let's try it right there. I did add gasoline to the fuel tank. Go on, buddy. I did add some gas to the fuel tank. So I'm hoping after a little crank in here, I'd actually get some real fuel up in here. I don't see any leaks yet from the fuel. Nothing on the floor. Let's crank her a little bit more. Went the other way with the timing this time. Well, we're close. If I could get some gas up in here, we'd be in better shape. Then I could play around with this. I'm thinking I'm going to block off this vacuum advance real quick. It should be getting any vacuum advance, but well, I guess we'll put it back on there since I don't have a cap. It really shouldn't be getting any vacuum advance anyway. It's up there. See, I just need to get it to idle for a second. I didn't have much mixed gas. Then we can probably get some fuel up to this fuel pump and then we'll be good. Alright, let's try that again. Not sure if I got fuel or not. It's hard to tell. First start in how many years? Year and a half? Alright, so definitely need to play around with the timing. I gotta get that stupid distributor cap to stay back there. Let me grab the crow foot, tighten that down. She keeps sliding back to center. Where did I put my crow foot? Ah, here it is. 9/16. So on GMs, they use this retainer bolt down here, and really the only way to get to it is buying one of these crow feet. You can kind of get a wrench in there, but man, is it a pain. So, with a socket and an extension, you can get down in here. So I'm gonna... So you even need an extension kind of on the crow foot. So I'm going to lock her over a little further. There we go. Don't fall, don't fall, don't fall. I meant the wrench don't fall. I don't care about me. Okay, at least she has a little more tension on it now. I should turn this so I can see how much oil pressure I have. All right, sorry you won't be able to see the oil pressure, but I will. I think I have fuel now, so I'm just going to try it again. So I think that's a little too far. We're going to come back. Oh, right there. Oopsie. figure out something to do with this #1 plug wire. I think run him the other side over here. I don't like running it anywhere near the throttle cable, but I went the right way now, so I gotta come back this way. About right there. Let's try that. Woo! That sounded good. Okay, oh, she keeps sliding back. Okay, so she slid back again. Me lock that crow's foot down just a little bit more. That's actually kind of where I wanted it. I don't know why I started over by the firewall. I think that's just where it slid because of the wires. So, yeah, that's actually kind of right where I wanted it sitting. Alright, let's tighten this down just a little bit so she quits moving. There we go. Now she should only move if I move it. Okay. Let's try this again. Cam, and I didn't even go that crazy. What is that water on the back? Okay, no fuel leaks, but I think I've got a really bad oil leak back here, and I've got the thing in the cam. Oh, she's leaking out around that thing, I think. I got all kinds of oil back here for some reason. When I didn't have that thing tightened down, it was shooting out. I'm going to wipe that up real quick. Got a bunch of oil back here. I'm pretty sure it's oil. Let me double check. My arm's down in here. No, it's fuel. I didn't spill. I know I didn't spill. So I must have a leak here somewhere. Let's see, unless I just spilled earlier when I was playing around. So it's definitely not oil. That was gasoline. Oh yeah, it's gas. This banjo fitting doesn't look like, oh, there's a little bit of a leak right here. Let me tighten that banjo fitting just a little bit. Okay. Oh, I've got some fuel here too. Alright, Houston, we have a problem. Had this on here and I had a fuel leak and it wouldn't go away. I went to tighten it up and I snapped the line right off. Either I was turning on the wrong piece or it just wasn't seated. Either way, I have to redo my fuel line. It had been leaking a little bit back here. I tightened up this banjo fitting just a little bit, and I got rid of that. It was not leaking here, but it was leaking out of here. So I'm thinking I might have even made this line wrong. So no matter what I did, it wouldn't have sealed. So I got to find another line. Let me get that fuel line off of there and see if I can't find something locally that'll work. I have some extra fittings. I think I have some extra line. Maybe I can make something up this afternoon. I'll be back in a little bit. Well, I got it starting good, but I'm having some problems with the transmission won't go into gear. A lot of people said you get a lot of air in the pump when you first rebuild them. That can be a problem. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start it up here. I've got it jacked up so I can put it in drive and not have to worry about it. But I'm going to leave it in neutral for now, or actually park. What I'm going to do is I'm going to crack open the cooler lines and see if I get anything coming out of the cooler lines to see if the pump's actually pumping. So that was a good idea that someone had. So we'll fire it up, see what we get. So, pump's not pumping. I had that line open. There should have been fluid shooting out of there. So my transmission pump is not pumping. And I don't have anything running on the floor that I can tell. So I didn't blow out a seal or nothing like that. I'm fairly certain I put the pawl on the piece incorrectly. There's this one piece you have to put in correctly or you'll tear her up. I'm 99.9% certain I did that right because it was something that was like, yes, if you don't do this right, you will break your transmission. So I'm a little concerned. I don't have any. The pump's not working, so I got to look up on tips on getting that pump to prime because I think that honestly is my problem. So I'm going to tighten this line back up. And you would have thought that just having an air gap would help, but apparently it didn't. So let me look up. I'm hoping this is a real simple problem. All right, so I cracked that line loose, and I've got no fluid coming out. So I'm going to add a little bit more fluid. I've been running it in neutral, because if you run it in park, it won't run the pump apparently. So been idling it in neutral, and my level has gone down on the transmission now. So I'm going to add a little bit more, and hopefully that'll get that pump to prime, and maybe we'll have some luck here. Thing is it could have pumped a whole bunch out into the cooler in here, and has a big air bubble. So I'm going to add a bit more fluid. I'm not overfilled yet, so I'm going to keep adding little by little here until we can get this thing to go into gear. All right, a little bit grayer day today, not quite as warm. I'm going to try to set the timing, kind of see where I'm at for initial timing, full timing. I might even replace the cap now that I actually got it running. The cap and rotor, I'll replace them. And then get that all set. And then I'm still not sure what's going on with the transmission. I did get the pump to pump a little bit out of the trans cooler. So some fluid was coming out of the line. So this thing, I had a lot of air in there. I rebuilt the pump. I did not replace the pump. So, I mean, it is possible that maybe my clearance was greater than I thought it was, and I didn't understand it, and so maybe my pump is bad now. I think it's okay, but I could be wrong. I might have messed that up. It was my first time ever rebuilding a transmission, so who knows. So let's go ahead and get started with this. When it's fired up, I'm going to play around and get this fuel line modified, because I got it working, but I'm going to get it modified so it looks a little neater. We'll get the timing set, and hopefully we can get it to roll forward and back. And we'll see how far we get today. Kind of a great day. I don't know how much I'll be out here. It's Mother's Day, so I'm going to spend some time with my granddaughters. They're here with their mom, so we'll see how much we get done today. I don't know if this will show up on screen or not, but that's the total advance I had with the vacuum hooked up. So this might explain why they never hooked up the vacuum in the past. I had 12 degrees initial, but it went all the way to 55 at like 1800 RPM, so I stopped. I'm like, yeah, I don't want detonation. Stop. So now I disconnected the vacuum advance. I'm going to try it again. Sorry for not filming it, but without an exhaust on at all, it is miserable, noisy, and smoky in here. All right, so it pulls almost 29 degrees with mechanical, and that's it. So I need to figure out why the vacuum is pulling so much. There's got to be an adjustment on that. If there isn't, I'm just going to go get a new distributor. I've only got 12 initial advance, which is actually a good place to start. It seems to really like that. It's idling at about 700 RPM. I had to prop the choke open in order to get it to run proper because the choke's not fully open yet. Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to do about it. I think that's okay for now to get started. I think I'm going to mess around with this exhaust system right now, get that cut off. I think I might take it off completely and put it in the truck and bring it up to the exhaust place so I don't accidentally hang it up while I'm driving. I still have not gotten the transmission to go into gear, so I'm a little bit of at a loss there what's going on. Still keep playing with it. A lot of guys said they had to go several times. Keep adding more fluid a little bit at a time to get everything filled up and working. So I'll just keep playing around with it. Maybe what I'll do is when I have it running the next time, I'll play around with the RPM. It was 650. I'd like to see it closer to 700. So it's a nice steady idle. The oil pressure is at 80 plus while it's idling, so no problems there at all. I do not have cam to break in. It's a roller cam. Everything seems to be working fine. So I tightened up the belts yesterday. They were squealing. I didn't tighten up the power steering one. I think I got that one pretty good to start with. But we'll check it here, make sure we're good. Power steering was actually low yesterday when I checked it. Oh, she's a little low again. Let me top that off. So what happens is a brand new pump, obviously it has to fill up all the lines and everything else. So when you top your stuff off, don't be surprised if it goes down a little bit. I added another about 1.5 quarts to the oil also today. Have not added any transmission fluid to the transmission yet. So yeah, I'm just going to keep playing around with it. We'll get there. I've got forward and reverse now. I looked up a bunch of stuff, and it's kind of an unwritten rule, and nobody talks about it, but yeah, just because it says full doesn't mean everything else in the transmission is full. You have to keep running the pump. A lot of these transmissions, TH400, I'm guessing, from what I read, the pump will only run in neutral. It does not actually run in park, apparently. I could be wrong. Because when I idled it before in park, it didn't seem like it did anything. So I've been starting it up and idling it in neutral, and I keep adding a quart, adding a quart, adding a quart. And yeah, now she's finally moving the tires. So I looked at removing the exhaust system. I don't know if I forgot or didn't want to remember, but this is all custom bent and welded. It goes up over the rear axle. There's no pulling this out unless I cut it. And I don't want to cut that part because there's nothing wrong with the back part. So I am going to have to go underneath the car and cable wire this up really, really well so it can't fall off. Alright, to be honest, I'm not going to get to do the first drive today or even roll it back and forth. It's getting a little later in the day. I'm sure my neighbors don't appreciate the really loud noise because there's absolutely straight out of the manifolds. I have a bunch of stuff to do. I'll work on this week, and we'll do a will it drive next week. We'll actually take it out on the road and get it driving. It's still idling at, where was I at? About 45 to 50 psi once I actually got everything up to temperature. I got it all the way up to temp. I got the thermostat to open, and I was at probably still at 650, maybe 700 RPM, and I was still at 45 psi. So I'm super happy with that. Still have to play around with why I have so much vacuum advance, but I ran that with the mechanical one before. Maybe I go with a little bit more initial timing, and my max is going to be, what, 30? So I can get it to 32. I'm sure I could take it apart, and there's some mechanical adjustments in there also. We'll see. This is just a generic distributor. So I can always, replace it with something better. Everything else seems to be working well. Oh, my power steering, same thing like with the transmission. You fill it up and then it sucks it down and fills up all the hoses. Well, the power steering wasn't working. So I filled it up again. And it was down a little bit more today. And this time when I filled it up, now all of a sudden I have power steering. Kind of did the same thing with the automatic transmission. Read a bunch of places. Hey, just because it's in the pan doesn't mean it's getting up into the rest of the transmission. You're going to have to add more. So my understanding is this, it starts pumping, but then it just gets air, and then it just all drains back out. So I basically overfilled it by about a quart. It would pump it down, and apparently that's filling up the torque converter. Overfilled another quart, overfilled another quart, overfilled another quart. Every time that I would add another quart, it would always bring it back down to the actual level, and then stay there. So I actually got it now, so the tires are turning. And when I did that, I actually added one more quart after that, and then we'll see where we end up. Again, I haven't rolled it back and forth. The car is actually not sitting down level. It's up on the jack stands. So we'll go from there. I believe I have a leaky wheel cylinder here. I believe what happened is I think I left the breather open, so I have like no front brakes again. That's my own fault. We'll get there. It's little by little every day. But everyone just keep plugging along on your projects. Can't always make these huge strides like on these TV shows, get everything done. That's why the channel's called Do It Myself Garage, because literally all this stuff I pretty much have to do myself. Now, I do have a friend that can come over once in a while, and I'm sure you do too, but they can't come over all the time. It's not their project. Maybe if you could swap time with someone on one of their projects that, would help you out. But a lot of this stuff can be done yourself. Now, to be honest, was I worried about the transmission not working? Heck yeah, I've never rebuilt a Turbo 400. I followed all the instructions. There's a lot of caveats, there's a lot of pitfalls to rebuilding one, and I could have made a mistake, but apparently, so far, appears to be okay. Huge relief, trust me, you don't know. You don't know how big a relief that is. So anyway, I'm going to call that a video for the week. Thanks everybody for following along. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, all that great stuff. And next week, we're going to do a Will It Drive. Thanks, see you in the next video.